roll call. By the way, welcome to Eleanor and Janet, new members.
Thank you.
And
Janet, for accepting.
And from, I
Granby.
brought you before, but you didn't come here.
Can I say one thing? Kind of holler at me because I'm deaf in this ear, so I do want to hear what you say, so holler. And I'm pretty good at this ear, so if you holler at me, I won't be offended.
You can almost trust her enough to holler.
Okay, roll call. Bob?
I'm here.
This is good. I'm here. Julie?
Here.
Barbara? Here. Carol Morissette?
Here.
Joyce?
Here.
Carol Zabrowski?
Here.
Don?
Yes.
Ann?
Here.
Eleanor?
Here.
Janet?
Here.
Lisa?
Here.
Tara? Doug?
And now we will have the minutes of the meeting of September 15. Are there any changes?
That's the minutes if you wanted to look at.
You did 5 times on the computer,
Okay.
but then you forgot to print them out. Mine was the lowest.
Are there any changes?
I don't see any.
Any motion to accept them?
I move to accept the minutes of the meeting of September 15th.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
On to the next.
And I'm putting you as an abstain because you had it.
Which one's September?
Okay. Well, good morning, folks.
She's got mine.
These are the financials for the month of September. It is the third month of the new fiscal year according to the town schedule, so it represents 25% of the calendar year. Okay? So that being said, as usual, the things I look for is to see how we're tracking with key budget items, particularly which is in the wage area, in terms of are we overspending or underspending. Okay, so the top section are most of the wages for running the limited staff we have here, but we do hide half of the activity coordinators position wages, or half of the half, down under formula grant at the bottom of the page. Okay, so at the top is what we have the town budget for wages. For transport, which is our shuttle drivers, paying them, and half of Rachel's activity position. The other half of Rachel's position is nutrition or lunch program. Okay, we get to use formula grant money to pay for half of her activity position, and the other half is paid by the town. Okay? And then all the lunch portion of her salary comes from town budget. Okay, so so for instance, the combination of mostly Dawn, who's been our primary shuttle driver, but we're getting busier in transportation trips, so we're using Richie Gay as well. We call him in when we have a conflict, and if we start getting a higher volume of calls, we'll be booking both of them. But he's pretty nimble, and he fills in when we can't have Dawn be in 2 places, or we have someone who needs the white wheelchair van, and that's hard for Dawn. It's an older vintage, and Richie's still very strong, and he doesn't mind handling a load and unload of a client single-handedly with a wheelchair in there.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so transport and half of Rachel's, basically a $1,428 wage expense in September. And so cumulative, through the first 3 months of the new fiscal year, we have, basically on the far right, almost $22,000 remaining. That's 94% of our budget. So we are clearly, we're running low because we're not, so the constant would be half of Rachel's activity, but it's the transportation piece. And last year we stranded a lot of transportation wages because we were largely shuttered and people weren't sure. We offered rides on a scheduled basis, as I understood. And when I came in late April, that's what we were doing. People were a little bit more trepidatious about going out. They were going to doctor's appointments, but now they're going shopping, they're getting their hair done, they're going to other types of appointments. So, the senior lunch program is through September. We're also, we're running modestly. We're only 90% into that budget, okay? So we had an expense there of $1,200. And then for outreach, which is Diane Morgan, and which is what she's paid for year-round. And you know, open enrollment just started and will be it's already been phenomenally busy. Technically, that's if we didn't have a Diane Morgan, we would have a Shine volunteer, and they might be, if you're lucky, half as good as her, or not. And that's supposed to be on a volunteer basis, but we're lucky to have in Diane both outreach knowledge and Medicare experience in helping people throughout the year, but heavily during open enrollment. So on her budget item there, you don't see the percentage. We are now 78%. We've used 22% of it for 25% of the time of the year already gone by. So we're in good shape. One of the things we have to help us there is we get the grant we received in late August through the Title III program is specifically to provide wage support for our outreach because we didn't have a big budget here. So I worked on augmenting that budget a bit, and then I wrote for a bigger grant, and we were granted it, okay? So we just need to keep that position funded and decently paid. If she was younger, I would have worried that she would walk, but she's just very dedicated, but eventually she's going to need to decide to truly retire. She didn't luckily retire for very long from Belchertown before there was a need here, and she likes to serve, and she's a great resource. Okay? So moving down to town accounts, these are just where we pull some of our monies to buy office supplies or postage, repair and maintenance of vehicles, office equipment, conference dues or annual subscription dues to like MCOA, Massachusetts Council on Aging, which is a stakeholder and lobbying group for all the COAs in the state. So we've largely spent, those subscriptions come up around this time of year. I think in August we got hit with those so that we have $97 of that 400 left, but we don't have a lot of activity there elsewhere in the year. So we're barely touching in there yet because we're just 3 months in, and the R&M for vehicles is actually higher because we put in our fare, the money we collect driving people. We don't put that into wages for drivers. It goes back towards things like repair on the vehicle, inspection stickers, things like that. So the $35 on that line item was in September for an inspection sticker for one of the vans, and in the month of September we had $109 of shuttle revenue. Okay, so it gets plumped back in there. So you can have the remaining balance bigger than the starting because it generates a little revenue.
So a question on the vehicles.
Yeah.
How are they as far as running and all that? Are we, running smoothly?
Yeah,
with the
they're functional. The blue van is newer and gets used daily.
Yeah.
The wheelchair van is only used if we have a wheelchair ride, or in some cases, a wheelchair ride, but the blue van's busy and we have other people, and we will use it. So
Yeah.
it gets started up. I mean, that may be a focus point for the future is
starting to get serious about looking for grant opportunity to replace the wheelchair van. And maybe we could then either do a trade or sell the wheelchair van. I don't know what the town's exposure would be on how to get some value off of the wheelchair van and put it towards a newer one, whether it's new or slightly used, but would meet the requirements. The buckling down in that van to secure the wheelchair is a little awkward, but I've been in it. I helped with some rides in August, and I got a taste of what it was like. So that's probably something to be thinking about this year.
Right, for this year,
Yeah.
absolutely. Sorry.
It's okay.
How old is that? Is the van?
The white one, the
Yeah.
wheelchair van? I don't know.
12 years old.
About 12?
I think it's one.
You could put that out to other, senior centers, see if they would be halfway interested, come up with a number.
Yeah, that's true. I would
You
think
could
maybe a
try it.
poorer one,
Huh?
a poorer community
Yeah.
might. And if it's
Yeah.
functional and reliable. I should say on the issue of the vans, it's not really new business, but some of you may have heard that around town, we've finally had some catalytic converters stolen off of some commercial vehicles.
Give me a break.
Up at West Mass, which was like a street lumber parking lot. And that happened about a week ago Monday. And the week before, I had been speaking to Chief O'Grady
Which one?
because in my bi-weekly Zoom calls with other Council on Aging directors, you just check in to hear what's going on, and they're all talking about how their shuttles are missing catalytic converters. So South Hadley had their first one stolen, I think, 3 weeks ago. Wilbraham, over the past 3 months, has had 3 vans have been stripped off. I don't know if they all happened at once for Wilbraham, but you'd think if you had one stolen, you'd do something, but to have 3. East Long Meadow has had, so they're going around, and I think some of the vans are being targeted because, one, they're easy to get under and grab up quickly,
Yeah.
and/or they may be parked in a location where if it's not easy to take off, no one's going to see you when they get it, and apparently they want the platinum or the copper that's in the product. So as you know, they've typically been parked at the end of the parking lot. There's a fair amount of light, but in the middle of the night, I don't know who's going by to be surveilling, and we don't have cameras. So I had been talking to Chief O'Grady a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, about could we put them behind the safety complex?
Yes.
Because they have, and he said certainly. And so I dragged my feet that week, and then last week he said, hey, remember we talked about the vans? He said, well, we just had a piece of equipment stolen 2 addresses up from the center, so you might want to bring those up. So last Tuesday, the regime is we brought them up there, and they're parked there. And shuttle drivers now know they have a set of keys that when they leave their home, they go there, leave their vehicle, bring the shuttle here for the day. Now, sometimes the rides are few and far between, so they might need to take the shuttle like back to Finn's Hill where one of them lives, because in an hour and a half, she has to pick up someone, and it's just awkward to be doing this shuttle. So it's a temporary fix because we don't need to have an unnecessary repair and have a shuttle out of commission. And we don't know what we'll do in the winter because it's logistics for plowing up there, and we'd have to move our equipment to roof rake and have them ready. So we'll see how long this goes on. I don't have any reason to believe it's going to stop as long as the copper and platinum markers are good and there's thieves on the world. So that's where they're housed, and so far so good.
That was a good move then. Rather than.
Wake
have
up
them
and
break
then say it's
into
not
and
open,
see
you're not
it.
starting it, it's not gas with the
Yes.
battery, it's missing its catalytic. And it's expensive to fix, to
Yeah,
repair
they
this.
are, they're expensive.
So
I don't know why they get such good money for them after they take them home.
they strip the platinum out. They
Yeah,
go for
well,
it,
that's-
That's expensive.
Metals.
And could
Yeah.
be a lot of
Metals.
it.
So imagine they go to the junkyard.
They gotta have a marker too.
Oh, yeah.
They do?
It's one of the
Yeah.
places, junkyard.
Okay, so if you want to move down, if we're done on that one, we can move into the donation accounts. The big expenses, so there's income and expenses. You know, we're doing very well on donation gifts. The general gift fund brought in $530 in September. Food pantry fund, 75. Thanksgiving basket fund, 75. Expenses, the $304 coming out of general gift, that covered stipend for one class of yoga, which is $80 for the instructor. The big balance of the rest of that was our ice cream truck social. We had put a down payment on it the month before, and then we had that social, I think it was September 13th, and so we paid that out at the end of the event. And then the $73 expenditure for the food pantry fund, that was, I go shopping occasionally if we're not getting donations for the freezer and stock meat and some items that just aren't coming in for dry groceries that we must have, okay? And then under formula grant, the main expense there is half of Rachel's monthly activity wages. That's where we get to defray part of the activity paycheck for her, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And then in terms of tracking activity here on the next page, so we do bread delivery. Largely, if the numbers go up or down, it's a function of how much we're getting from the grocery store and calling people and they say, I don't want brioche bread, I want whole wheat bread with.
Really?
Yeah. So we can't be picky.
Wow.
We can't be picky about what we get. We never know. And some weeks it's a mother load, and other weeks it's pretty slim. But Dawn pulls aside and makes calls for those who are not able to get out. That's where we're delivering it. The food pantry had 6 clients for a total of 7 bags in the senior group. So that was down 4 clients from August and down 15 bags. So some people come in and they can take the 2 bags on one visit, or they can take their 2 visits in the month, taking 1 bag each. It's probably a function of what they've got, what they've got for spending their cash, and on their SNAP cards. Pantry use in the under 65 group was 3 clients, a total of 5 bags, or down a little for clients and bags. Brown bag, 24 were taken, that was up 2 from August. Yesterday, all brown bags went. Okay. Grocery delivery, we did 3 deliveries, an increase of 1. Transportation in September, no change in the number of medical trips. We did 10 medical trips. We did 23 miscellaneous, that's up 4. So we're starting to see more miscellaneous trips come in as people feel more comfortable moving about this many months, past COVID or past, everyone getting vaccinated, feeling more comfortable moving around. Support services, outreach and shine. We had 30 appointments, just down by 1 from August. Medical equipment, 9 clients, total of 16 pieces went out, so that's 2 more clients. And that's a very active area for us. So we constantly monitor, asking for certain donations through the newsletter, or we have people in town who scour, like the Granby Preservation Society storage lockers, and Judy DeLong lets me know what's up there, and I say, yeah, we'll take it.
Yep.
Wellness calls, 149, that's up 26 from August, and phone calls, 114, up 33 from August. So it depends what we have. Phone calls have to happen for sort of scheduled things and necessity things where we've missed the newsletter cycle, and we want to make sure people are aware of events that we're having here or changes to something. So that's a priority for us. But since we're 2 and we're busy and running things, it's sort of a balance between making the phone calls as well as wellness calls. But we try to always get to wellness calls. Okay? That's it.
Thank you.
Make a motion to accept the financial report as presented.
We don't do those.
No, I can't.
We don't.
You told me that before.
Yeah. You're testing to see if we
Normal meeting,
remember.
you do that,
Do you have anything else, Lisa, or?
Not for financials, but I do have one thing to say after speaking to Don yesterday in terms of new developments or new business. But so many months ago, shortly after I started, I spoke to the group about trying to get better food pantry use, particularly for the under 65 group, because we've been sitting on a lot of inventory and we have to cull it. And if it's too old, it does get thrown out. If not, we either contact Granby to go, or Neighbors Helping Neighbors, or Lorraine's and Chicopee. And some of them want things. And when we get stuff that we already have too much of, we start calling, whether these are food items or incontinence pads and things. And we've been hustling stuff out of here. We've given
That's a good
equipment
thing.
to Holyoke Senior Center. We gave a brand new vision photo enlarger for reading to the library. It's brand new. It belonged to Dan Strain, and the family gave it to us. And we wanted to find a good use for it. So we're trying to place things that we draw in and get them where they're needed most if we don't have the need. And so in talking with Granby to Go, Judy DeLong up at the high school, middle school, she works very closely with Neighbors Helping Neighbors. And in the process, we sat down in October with Mary Lou Guara at Neighbors Helping Neighbors and Judy DeLong. And as a result, yesterday we had our first mobile food van here from 12 to 2. And we're going to do it again monthly, timed on the Brown Bag Day. And it was a huge success. We emptied the van.
Wow.
We made calls.
Fantastic.
And the month before, we put flyers in the brown bag to say, save the date, next month's brown bag, we will have a produce and dairy mobile van here. We will let you know in advance if you can't come out, what's on it, and we'll call and take your order. And as a result, it was rather hopping here yesterday, so we let Rachel go with Dawn in the afternoon in our blue van with brown bags that get delivered to those who can't come out, and their produce bags, and they went around for about an hour and a half delivering both.
I think that's fantastic.
And Mary Lou at Neighbors Helping Neighbors was very generous, but she was so pleased it was such a success. And she said, yes, let's do it monthly. And what we're going to do is the night before she'll have an idea from Food Bank of Western Massachusetts, because that's where the van goes up and gets loaded. And she may have access to other things, at times like maybe some frozen meat or bacon, but she'll let us know, and then we can alert people who can't come out. And we served 34 families yesterday.
Wow. See, we needed to do more of that. I don't think we were reaching out
Well, and
as
it's not
much as
just
we
for
should.
seniors, it's for anyone in need, and it's not just from
That's-
Granby, but
that's
mostly they were
another
from
thing.
Granby, and they were households of different kinds, but there was eggs and cheese and broccoli and yellow squash, cucumbers, lettuce, yogurt, English muffins. So it was a nice offering, because we largely don't routinely have fresh produce. And Breezy Acres is harvesting it, she brings down corn on the cob, right?
Yeah.
So this is a nice thing to be able to offer, and they do it in Chicopee. They just had no traction here in Granby for the past years, and I said, why not? Let's see.
Yeah.
And so, as a thank you, I sent them away with a trolley full of excess cases of food banks, canned goods from Brown Bag this month and last month that we're just overflowing with. And Judy DeLong had a need for it. So we try to just even it out.
Yeah.
Okay?
So where did the produce?
It comes from the Food Bank of Western Massachusetts. It's the
Okay.
CSA Farms who,
Yeah.
up in Hatfield.
Yeah.
It was really
So you
terrific.
coordinated with,
Neighbors Helping Neighbors and Granby to Go. Couldn't have been any easier.
My group came, my quilting group came when they were here, and several of them benefited from it. And it was wonderful food. Plus, the two ladies
Yeah,
doing
terrific.
it are just delightful.
Yeah.
They made people feel very comfortable, and
Yeah, they're wonderful.
it was really good. And others said, well, we hope that when you come back again, it will be a Tuesday, their day, their quilting day. But I think it's absolutely great.
Fantastic.
Right.
Yes, it is. We need
Well,
to do more.
it'll always be Tuesday, because it'll always be on the Brown Bag Day.
Tuesday.
It's always that third Tuesday of the month. And we've publicized it now in the November newsletter, which some of you are going to come back and stuff next week. But last month, we missed the cycle. We just sent it to publisher. I sat down and had a meeting with them like 2 days later, and we agreed. So we had to put signs up at the library and around town and on the town website. So it's going to stay. And we were also trying to have out a rack of coats that day, but I wasn't here Monday due to an emergency. But next month, we start giving winter coats away. We have a lot of men's winter coats.
Yes.
We could use some women's winter coats, but Judy DeLong has a clothing program up at the school, and she says, I have so many, I'll give you some. So that will get mobilized for November, because colder weather's starting to come.
Yeah.
So they can come for produce bags, they can get a coat if someone in the household needs it. And they
That's
can pick up their
fantastic.
brown bag if they're in the brown bag program too.
Seems like you're doing a heck of a nice job for
Yes,
us.
we need to.
This-
You should
I
need
just-
a little bit of help too.
Well, so we're trying to do the easy things. All I had to do was listen and say yes. I mean, like, thank you for being so generous, but yeah, it's getting busier, so I'll need to think about that because, you know, between Dawn, who's great, she'll give extra time here, but Diane's now strapped with appointments, and then she was out sick for part of last week, and it's a lot to juggle. I'm not as young as I used to be.
So then what you're saying is you could use some volunteer help then at times.
I could.
Go ahead, I'm
well,
sorry.
I could, but, I mean, we have a little bit of a, we haven't used this clerk's position here. It's grayed out at the top of wages.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I did take money out of the new budget from that to help pay for the increase in the wage I gave our outreach coordinator who was terribly underpaid from
Absolutely.
day one,
Yeah.
okay? But that could support something. So the question is, do we go through the headache of committing that to a hire and they have to benefit, or I don't know what level of benefit if they're on a certain level of part-time. So that's more of a town administration question I have to discuss, but I know that's there if there's an emergency for getting some help. Okay? So I think that's, all I can say is it was a very busy month, and November's going to be as busy. The big event in November, which is sort of keeping me a little bit awake at night, is the Thanksgiving baskets. And all that
Yes,
coordinated. I usually like to be prepared, but I don't usually live my life 4 to 6 weeks out. And this job is thinking about 8 weeks out.
Right.
And that's got to happen by a certain date, and then after that, you can take a big breath.
Yeah.
Oh, one other thing, the lunch program. West Mass Elder Care listened to all the complaints from everybody who was in their
Oh,
service
good.
area,
Yeah.
and they carefully got out of the contract with the new caterer.
Good. That was- Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
so they are, the old caterer is obligated until November the 19th. And then West Mass Elder Care asked all of us participating centers if we would hit pause on our lunch programs for that Thanksgiving week through the end of November. So we'll have nothing for that time, okay, which is fine, because the new caterer, they're in the selection process right now. The new caterer will start delivering here December the 6th, so Monday, okay? Let's hope they're better in quality and reliability, you know, in terms of when they come and remembering to bring everything. But quality was
Quality.
the worst.
Yeah.
It was the worst. And they know at West Mass Elder Care that our numbers are small, except on Mondays because we have a Michigan Rummy group that will eat anything to be here and start their game early enough. So, you know, our numbers have been low on the other 2 of the 3 days of the week, and part of that is post-pandemic, and people who used to be here, some of them are no longer here, they're passed on, but word's around that it's not worth coming out for, so that's why we've kept it at 3 days a week. We will stay at 3 days a week in December. If it's excellent, we will go to 5 days a week. But I can't ask volunteers to come out for 5 days a week when there's like 2 or 3 people. It's too much. So we're going to do a wait and see, but we're hopeful. We're really hopeful. The food will improve.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question in reference
Yep.
to the Thanksgiving baskets.
Yep.
Is it okay to ask about it now?
I guess so, sure.
New
Or
business?
is it is? Okay. So according to what I see, our numbers are way down for the Thanksgiving basket.
So you heard that from Don because we were talking yesterday, because he's trying to help me source. We're going to have a turkey shortage this year because of everything in supply, all these supply disruptions.
Yeah.
And so you think, right now, if you were to go out in a normal year and buy a price of turkey or a breast, it's one price. As you get closer to the holiday, they're going to try and sell them and be competitive. Well, now I'm being told that prices are going to go up,
Right.
and they are high. Now, I've reached out months ago, and I reached out a week ago to the same group, Big Y, Arnold's Meats, Restaurant Depot, and Don suggested, was it 99 meat?
90 meat outlet.
90 meat, okay. Where he buys,
Well, they
Well-
treat us good if we need stuff for the church. I mean, we'll order
yeah.
$1,000 worth of food all the time, up to 3 times a year.
so
Maybe, I haven't talked to him yet.
when he told me, his last time he bought for one of the church events, he told me about this. I said, could you ask them about their pricing, whether they would sell bulk to the council on aging? So there's another option. So what I found out is Big Y, in light of the supply disruptions, is not doing a bulk program this year. I couldn't go to them and say, I need you to hold me 30 frozen boneless breasts, and I need 30 frozen turkeys. They're not doing it. Price Right has not said no yet. They said, call back end of October and we'll have the details of our turkey plan. So breast right now is $3.28 a pound.
Oh, yeah.
And turkey is about $2.40 a pound.
Mhm.
And Arnold's Meat called me last and said, I got 60 foil wrap breasts for you, when do you want to pay for them? I said, I didn't make an order. I said, we were just talking to see whether you do bulk, what you have for stock and what you're charging. He says, I got a great price, you're not going to see it. And he was $3.29. I said, that's a great price.
$3.29?
A pound. I said, no. Now, you can see we have some money, and my goal is, by Thanksgiving, this should be close to zero. But I've got to buy a few other things that I'm not still getting enough of donations. But we're getting close. We've been in inventory, cranberries, box mashed potatoes. I will reach out to, I think, Insurance. West has donated some fresh produce, potatoes and butternut squash. I'll hit them up for that because some people. So I'm calling and saying, would you like breast or turkey? And it's splitting half. So the people I've actually reached, half want to just manage a frozen turkey breast. The other half want a turkey because they're going to a house of 10 or 12 people. And I said, oh, you're going to a house of 10 or 12 people, so you're going to bring the bird?
Yeah.
So it's interesting the things you learn the first cycle around.
Yeah.
Limit yourself as far as the turkeys go to a certain weight, since this is all we can do for you.
Well, I don't know what we're even going to get.
Right.
I'm not promising weights for
I
them.
know.
If they don't like it, that's what's in the bag, you know? So,
Can I ask you
Yeah.
a question then? Do you have a listing of what we did the other years, distributing these baskets?
you want to know breast versus turkey? Number-wise?
Number-wise people, how many we distributed
So
to?
last year, it was about 80.
Yeah.
29 of those were not related to the senior center. We got names.
Were they low income though?
They came from the school,
Yeah, so
and not all of them were low income though.
really?
And I'm sharing that with the school. It is a problem. And
They weren't
I'm not
low-
spending.
They weren't low income?
No, they were not. That's what she's saying.
And what Neighbors Helping Neighbors had informed us was there was evidence that some people double dipped. They got from South Hadley and they got from
Really?
Burlington. So I'm not interested in that. I have to
Yeah.
be a steward of what we have here.
Right.
And I've let them know for many months my focus is on seniors in Granby first. And we're doing the assembly and distribution from here. I'm not, I reached out in talking about pie preparation. It's apple crisp, apparently. I called a number. I didn't know where Marie Mason was, but she's a parishioner at United Church Christ.
Correct.
And I said, oh, you guys bake great. So, and she says, well, when are you bringing everything up? And I said, you know, someone mentioned that to me. I said, why would I bring up all these heavy boxes when they're right in my office and we have a big room?
Right.
I said, historically, you've done it there. She said, yeah, but I think it's because they used to do the drive for food for it.
Right.
They're not doing that anymore.
No.
So year-round, it's all sitting in my office, stacked and being inventoried. I'm going to roll it here. We're going to get volunteers here. I'm going to deliver from here to here.
And we can pick up pies from them.
That's right.
They are still making pies?
They're making the apple crisp 8x8s
Oh,
with
wait,
frozen.
apple crisp.
And I understood they were very good last year.
That's what they
That's
just
it.
gave out
Yeah.
on the drive-through meal this
Probably
weekend.
then.
Yeah.
Because in the past, they used to do apple, then pumpkin, then
Yeah.
apple pumpkin, and they said, just do apple crisp. So it's fine. So it's going to happen here. There's a call for volunteers going out in the November newsletter. And I think in some ways, it gives us a little bit more control over how bags are assembled, what routes they get on, and where we can see. It doesn't mean I'm not willing to do some help with the high school that has such a Judy DeLong the point of contact at the school needs to give me their needs. I need to know their needs, okay? Because we don't have an infinite budget. So if I have, say, 60 senior households
Right,
that I know have need,
yeah,
I could envision maybe planning for 10 non-senior households that have need, okay? But we don't have an infinite budget,
yeah,
okay?
okay.
Do we need bags?
I got bags in the car. I got 70 bags.
That's fine. Florence Savings Bank graciously, their corporate and marketing through Julie's request, secured 70 insulated bags, which will be nice and sturdy.
They're good size too. They're not tiny.
Thank you. And in exchange, we're going to make sure we get some nice photos of bags being delivered.
Of course.
And what day are we doing this?
The delivery and assembly will be Thursday, November the 18th. It's 1 week before Thanksgiving.
And I wrote it down.
And after this meeting is over, the rest of my day is dedicated to getting back on the phone and getting the calls done, to get the head count. And some people are slow to answer, but I left a lot of voice messages last week, but I spoke to about 20, and that was half one
We're
breast, half
still
one
doing it
turkey.
at the church.
No, here.
Here?
You gotta limit the size of the church.
I'm not asking what else, I wanted to know, I was asking that question because you heard me say someone was going to a house with 10 to 12.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I was more curious, no, and I'm not necessarily
I don't know why
promised.
she
I
said
wanted
she
to know the
doesn't want to
context
have
with
all
which
that
they
stuff up
would
there.
have need.
Yeah, here.
That's not really, I don't want to be a judge, but
The only thing is,
they might get a 12-pound bird. So now they're saying you won't get small birds, it's only going to be large birds out there because of the supply. Who knows what? I'm going to maybe this weekend just go to the stores as though I was shopping and look.
See, price
No.
wise, yeah.
So Arnold's Meat said their breast was a great price at $3.28, but when I had Dean Robitaille on the phone from Big Y, he said we can't commit to doing corporate, and we're limiting the number of products an individual can come in and buy. So it's not like I could go in and buy 4, you could buy 5 for me, you could buy 6. If we all bought 5, we'd have enough. You can only buy 2 things, okay? But his turkey breast is $2.28 a pound. He's $1 less than all
Oh,
meat.
wow.
This morning,
And some of them
they
say as you get
there was
closer-
no shortage, but the price was going
Restaurant
up.
Depot said, I think this is the
Everything.
highest,
Yeah.
meat are down a little, but Arnold says they're
I
going
don't
up.
believe
So,
it's
you know,
And-
Well, Arnold's don't care one way or the other, you know, that we got such a business going over there.
So I have a question for you. The brown bags that we do on a monthly basis,
Yeah,
are
they're-
those people on our list for Thanksgiving baskets?
pretty much,
So
pretty
those
much.
people are,
yes.
okay.
It's kind of a screening, it makes sense.
Well, that's what I wanted to know. You
Yeah.
know, you figure that if they're
Yeah.
brown baggers, then they should be on the list for the turkey
But not
dinner.
everyone who's, I would say people who are on our food pantry, but may not be brown baggers for one
Oh,
reason or another,
okay.
they're also likely
They're-
candidates on the list.
Okay.
But then you get other names that we don't see here at the center, and then if they're non-senior households, like coming through the school request,
Right.
we know less about them, but some people do, like Judy DeLong does through Granby,
No,
because she
yeah,
interfaces
right.
with them.
Yeah.
How about senior fuel assistance people? Are they on the list?
Many of them are. Many of them are.
Uh-huh. When we did it in South Hadley, it used to be, when it came to the younger families, we only accepted fuel assistance families, was our one way of screening that. And if they were eligible for fuel assistance, we knew their income.
Oh,
But we didn't just take anybody that walked in the door, because some of them had a lot of other resources.
yeah.
We're getting, and we're really kind of robbing the,
Yes, I
The business.
understand. So, so our outreach office would have a sense of
right,
families in town, whether they're senior households or not.
right.
If they came to get help from her for the
Right.
application, or could you get in touch with Community Action and send a list?
Actually, at that point, Franklin County gave us a list.
They did, okay, that's great.
At that
That's a great
point,
idea.
things have changed there.
Yeah.
I have no idea now.
But at least it's, you
Right,
can check that also.
right. Yes, because you don't know all of the people who are on fuel assistance.
That's right, some
Because
don't.
many of them don't come through the Council on
Right.
Aging, they go right to Greenfield.
That's right.
But,
Okay, that's an excellent suggestion.
yeah,
But we do need to help these people that need it. Not just, yeah, I need it, no.
We need a what?
We need to help these people.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
really need the help,
Right.
the food, the baskets.
And every time someone double dips or didn't need, it keeps it from going to a household that did need. Who, I mean, I talk to people, there's a couple, I had to convince, she still said no, she said,
Apply for, yes.
no, she said, yes, I'm having some hardship, but there's someone who needs it more than me. And I said, I really like to strongly encourage you that you can participate. And she said no. So I don't know if it was pride or what, but there's the other side of the coin.
Right,
Pride.
right, yeah.
Pride's a very big thing. And you might see some elder come out of the house looking absolutely spiffy and wonderful, and you go to their home to visit and you're in shock. I mean, and that's true in Granby too.
Well, I'm sure
Okay,
it's true.
let's change that scenario. They come out of the home spiffy, they pull up in a really nice SUV, and the home is okay. And they're not telling us all their income, we find out, okay?
That's true.
And they're getting everything here.
Yeah. But that's people, the
I know.
human race
But
today.
they are elders that are in our community.
Yeah, no, I don't want to be,
Right. No,
I'll eventually have a
There's
legacy, they'll
both.
say Ebenezer Scrooge, but I have to be a steward here of budget, and I'd just like to, I'm coming at it with a
Fair.
fresh eye, and I want to
Yeah.
be fair.
Yeah. That makes
I
sense.
have to say, I'm amazed with the turkey business, the shortages and the price.
I know.
I'm taken back. I can't believe Big Y told you they won't even guarantee you so many birds.
That's right.
I cannot believe that. It's like, it's always Toledo's.
I haven't yet. And Stop and Shop in the past has donated turkeys to Neighbors Helping Neighbors, so I'll have to talk to Mary. There's so much went on yesterday. We didn't get to talk about turkeys
Yeah.
for a month from now. But she in the past has gotten free turkeys from Stop and Shop, so
Have a daughter, Ashley.
Yeah, Stop and Shop is a good place too.
My daughter,
They're
yeah.
usually cheap.
So yeah,
But
I
cheaper.
I figure if they're going to support Neighbors Helping Neighbors,
Usually a
I
little cheaper.
can't go asking them.
Big
double.
one.
But I
I was in
will.
there this week,
I will.
and they
I'll
have a
talk
lot
to
of
Neighbors
big
Helping
turkeys.
And if we
They
need
were 99 cents a
more
pound
bags.
for the whole
I can
turkey.
please ask
I mean,
for
99,
bags.
you know,
I
not
think it's
239. And
And they said they have quite a lot, so.
Okay, that's fine.
Not
But
coupons this year. Yeah, right.
when I saw last year's
That should be
list,
interesting.
Yeah.
that, more than a third of it was households that aren't served at the senior center because they're not older households. I'm not saying many of them don't have valid need and they should be clear. I just thought, why are we the only ones doing this? We solicit dry good donations all year for this Thanksgiving drive.
Right.
So I can tell you, I might be able to have stuffing right now for 7 months, but I've got to go out and sell. I have to hit a number, right? So that on the 18th of November, we got enough to make 70 bags. But if a good percentage of them are non-senior, I think there should be other organizations involved with
That's right.
filling the bags.
Mhm.
So.
What do you need now for the baskets that you don't have?
So let's see, I just had to send the November newsletter to the publisher, and it doesn't mean I'll get that before the 18th, but we still need like 14-ounce cans of cranberry sauce, and we need like 20 of those. And then, so I need odds and ends. I need 15-ounce cans of yams?
Yams.
And I don't know how many, I have the numbers on the boxes in my office. And I still need some box stuffing mix, okay? Then we'll get some fresh produce. I'll speak to Nayland Insurance today.
I'll pick up some of that.
Yeah, me
Cranberry
too.
sauce is like a jelly.
It was hard to get cranberry sauce. It's not
Yeah.
Big Y.
Aldi's has it.
You have to go to some.
And it's only- it's a lot cheaper.
They closed.
They have a lot of stuff.
I'll go in there today.
Okay, I spoke to them to see if we could publish anything about them for the November. She says, well, we closed well before November.
Yeah, but Tammy
So, but you
would
think she's
probably
got-
would work with it.
Call
The
Tammy?
veggies, I don't know that they'd stay.
I think they would if I had a cool spot. Potatoes and butternut squash, those
This
are,
time of year doesn't stick it in full form,
Yeah.
so they need it.
Okay,
Because at this
Chakowski's.
point in time, I live
I'll
in-
start there. If she's
Yeah,
got
just use
some,
my name.
I will, I'll say Don.
Tammy.
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 Tammy, yeah.
So is there anything else you need besides this cranberry and stuffing?
Yams.
Yams,
Yams.
canned
Canned yams?
yams.
And
About gravy.
Okay, about gravy. Unfortunately, I have a lot of gravy, but the way people give it to me is in glass jars, which can be
you
a
need the
nightmare.
packets.
So what I'm gonna have to do is, I have a big roll in my barn of bubble wrap. And I think it's a mental health exercise when I have too much. I'm gonna sit in the corner every day and just wrap a jar. And it's gonna have to go in very carefully, because I don't want anyone getting a bag with broken glass gravy, right?
So the next time you should say packet gravy, where they,
Yeah, I didn't do it, it was, I
Or
inherited it.
cans, they come in cans,
I
gravy
know,
comes
but
in
I've got all
cans.
those,
Beautiful
glass
jar.
formats.
yeah, but she's got the glass ones.
so I don't want to waste it, but
No.
we'll do it, we'll find a way.
I got a box for donations at the bank, I just put out, a little late unfortunately, but I'll put cans for gravy.
Okay.
Put that on the list.
Because you know, every month in our newsletter,
Yeah.
we have the things we need for our food pantry, but the Thanksgiving thing, it
Right.
always updates. So
Yeah.
you just think, okay, I got enough peas and carrots, enough green beans,
Yeah.
I've got enough pouch mashed potatoes. I need stuffing still, I need yams, I need still more cranberry sauce. And you gotta check everything you're receiving, because some people have bought it and it's good shelf life, some people took it off of their garage or cellar inventory, and by the time Thanksgiving comes,
It's obsolete.
it's, technically it's still good for
Yeah.
a year, but I can't put it in a bag. So that's where we are.
Is there anything else in that?
So what time on the
In your
18th did
bags,
you
when
say?
you pack them, do you
9
put
o'clock,
anything that says it's from and
No.
prepared by the Council on Aging? And if
Yeah,
you'd like
there'll
to
be a-
send a thank you, this is who you can send a thank you to. We used to get the most wonderful response from, if you'd like to send a thank you, and they really sent lots of really down-to-earth, honest things, that particularly the elders.
Yeah, it is.
And it was just a nice thing that we got back as a thank you for the whole crew that did all the work. The baskets are a lot of work. Yeah. So,
Yes, we do, we'll have instructions for the apple crisp, but I believe there's a note that says.
We
Yeah.
did last year, we had inserts, yeah,
Inserts.
we had inserts, yeah, and I think there were even some little Christmas cards that were sent from the kids. They sent, put some
Oh, that
Christmas
was-
cards in the packages,
Yeah.
I remember. It was nice, yeah.
right, right.
So what time on the 18th are we meeting here?
No, what did I say in the newsletter?
It don't matter, just tell us.
I think
what
we
you-
said something like 9:30.
Nine-
Because that morning, I would imagine, I'll take the shuttle driver and the van and go pick up wherever we're getting the breasts and the turkeys from. Because I need the vendor to hold on to them, because we don't have that kind of storage.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we'll get them, get here,
Yeah, we said
and get set up, and we're gonna use this room as an assembly line. And then we'll need route drivers. I know traditionally everyone upstairs is driven and some of the staff here, but anyone with a good back or wants to, I know you guys are drivers for More Meals, One Heart, so if someone wants to be a driver and the other one's riding shotgun, running the bags out, that's probably not a bad idea. So we'll send anybody our way who wants to help.
I was a driver last year, but I can't this year because don't have my Jeep now. I have this little Fiat and can only fit one turkey breast in it. I'll be willing, I'll be here and I'll help, I'll go deliver, but I have to drive along with someone else.
We're still in new business.
Oh, we're in new
Business?
business?
We're in a business.
I have a question for everybody, I'm just gonna throw it out. We're all members of this committee, and we're supposed to be the ones that take care of the senior center, this and that, and try to get the people in here, come up with different programs and everything. And my thoughts would be to team up with somebody and come up with some ideas, so we can help Lisa a little bit. She needs some help, not to, just to sit there and say, okay, but I think she really needs some help, and we gotta come up with, how do we get more seniors back here? I know, I understand the COVID and everything, but We gotta do something like that with other programs. We gotta come up with something like that too, just to try to get these seniors in here. So I'm just throwing it out as a suggestion or a discussion.
Well, we do have bingo. She calls bingo, and they come on bingo day. We get a few more for lunches. We have bingo, and
So what
That's
I will
only
say
once a
is,
week.
we are
Only once
tweaking,
I mean,
Once a
once a
month.
month, we should
Once
do
a
it
month.
more often.
maybe you can do it more often if you want.
No, but what I'm saying is you team up as twos and brainstorm and say, gee whiz, we should maybe try this. Let's just see
Well,
if
that
we
was
get
my
this.
brainstorm, Dan. Don, you got it. That was my brainstorm. They're short-lived, my
so here's what
friend.
happens. Sometimes we tweak something a week ago. We had our Oktoberfest and bingo, okay? It got a bigger bingo crowd. It was a beautiful day. It was probably one of the last days we could be out under the tents. We started bingo earlier at 12:30, and I brought in an accordion player for Oktoberfest, okay? Problem was, they couldn't hear over the road noise and the accordion player, so he sat, and I paid him to sit till bingo was done, and then he had another gig that he forgot about. So we got about 45 minutes of accordion playing out of him, which was a blast, and there were about 24 people there. We don't normally get that for bingo, not all, most were for bingo, okay? But they came out because we baked pretzels and had dipping sauces and non-alcoholic beers, and we had music and we decorated. It was a gorgeous day. So sometimes when we can amplify, say, a bingo game,
Correct.
you get people out who might have been on the fence about playing bingo because they would like to have, and we saw 3 new faces of people. Okay? We meet them, they came the next day for our donut and coffee social. We started that. We're going to try and keep that going every month. Someone said, bring free newspapers and maybe they'll sit. As long as people feel free sitting here, and I know that everyone's staying safe, because eventually the windows are going to be shut. You got to make sure we're keeping people safe.
Well,
Somebody, overheard some people in one of the activities. I was near the library, and somebody says, people don't come to the Granby Council and just hang out, just don't mill around. And then somebody said, well, it's because it's so structured here. I don't think we're structured at all. I think we're pretty inviting and casual. And so I spoke to another group that I know moves around to other centers, and she said, this is one of the most relaxed places to be. We couldn't do this over in this other town, okay? So I think people have different opinions, but I think some people, like 2 men who've just turned up, have recently become widowers, okay? And they're willing to try because they said they need to get out of the house. And so we made sure that they would read it, and I sat them with other people, and hopefully they'll come back. So I think there's a mindset. I know plenty of elders, including in my own family, they're almost 90, but they have each other, and they've never thought of themselves as consumers of a senior center. Right?
Yeah.
So that's natural. That can happen, and people may not have a preference for it, but if people have a need, it can be filled here, it's a special time we're ramping back up. And so I think I told you last month, we added cornhole, nobody came, so we've taken it off the calendar for now. Okay, because there's other things we could offer a second session, a big trial. So it's just balancing out things.
Right. Yeah.
So that means suggestions, ideas, you just pass it on to Lisa.
Darts.
Don?
Darts, that could be dangerous.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yahtzee game.
You could get
Yahtzee.
stuff out of you.
That's another.
Oh, I'm sorry, Don, I hit you with a dart.
Yeah.
Oh, that hurts.
What's that? Whose dart is that?
But there are other things that we could look at for, and as people stop coming back, you know,
How do we get them back?
Yeah, they have to get more comfortable with the.
Correct.
I think that's a big factor. For 23 years, I worked at the South Hadley Council on Aging doing Diane Morgan's job. So I know a little bit about outreach. But anyway, the director that I worked for 12 years said, when they come through the door, pat them on the back, know their name. No, don't even if you can't even remember their name, you can remember where they live or something, that they had a hangnail last week or something. Pat them on the back and feed them, feed them, feed them.
Yeah.
Food.
Food is great. Food is great.
Seniors, that is
It
top
is.
priority.
It is.
Yeah.
And it
You feel
causes
welcome.
socialization
Correct.
between them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's what's happened, my quilting group is really, it's up to like 13 now.
Yeah.
See?
And they come and they just want to feed off of each other. And we all have this bond in quilting that where we don't talk about ourselves, how many pills we take, our grandchildren.
His ground rules.
We talk about quilting patterns and where we're going to eat when we go on the next quilting
Yeah.
trip. But we really try to focus on just the good time that they're here. And the group is very, very good. And we're thrilled to be here, so this is good.
That's why you had so many people, because you had pretzels, you would give
Yeah.
them pretzels, food. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, that's what, yeah.
Well, there were those two ladies that came in late,
Feed them and they will
closer to 1 o'clock there.
feed them and they will
And
come.
one was from Ludlow and
Used to
one
be
was
that
from
way.
Belchertown.
If they didn't have food or feeding
And
people.
they like
would
coming here better than any of the other places.
That's true with our quilting group. We've got about 5 in that group that are not Granby people, but we love having them. And they love coming.
And so the more we can involve,
Right.
whatever it takes to
It's
do.
probably up to each one of us to reach out and socialize, you know, say, hey, I'm going to the Council on Aging for the pretzels.
Yeah.
You want to come?
Or the bingo, that's a big draw, the bingo,
Mhm.
you know?
And it's a reasonable price to pay.
Yeah.
Right,
Right.
right.
It's
But-
not, you're asking $100 for somebody to play bingo.
Well, I know some of you call bingo at other centers, and I know you, Janet, you've done it elsewhere, and I know Anna Wood from South Hadley, who's with our Wednesday and Friday card playing group, she couldn't come to our bingo Oktoberfest because she calls bingo at South Hadley on Tuesdays. And she was saying their numbers are slow to come back, but slow. She said she had a good day a couple weeks ago, she had 12 people. So that could be, to get an idea of what's going on in other centers. What are they doing? I mean, they've got a nice new building.
Yeah.
I know, but a nice new building doesn't give you necessarily mean you're going to want to be drawn in and feel. But there's reasons people would be maybe going through that door, and we'd like to know which of them we could follow, you know, pattern.
Do they do their bingo weekly, South Hadley, or is
Yes.
it monthly?
Yes, weekly,
Is it weekly?
weekly. She calls weekly.
Weekly, okay.
And I think Holyoke's back to doing it weekly too, aren't they?
Yes,
And they draw a lot for their bingo there.
yeah.
They get a big,
Because once a month they forget what day it is,
That's
so if
what
it's every
happens.
week, they
I've
would
been by it
forget.
100 times.
that's
Forget
big.
what day.
But in
They do.
Holyoke, they go for the food, they
Yeah.
go for lunch, and then they stay for bingo.
Right.
And all the time that the bingo is going on, there's always free coffee and some leftover
That's a draw.
snacks, which they really take advantage of.
Yes, they love that. They
It
do.
all goes
They love it.
together.
Certain seats, you can't, somebody come in and, hey, that's my seat, you can't sit here.
Oh,
Oh,
God,
that
that,
happens all the time over there. 'Cause I know a lot of people over there,
that happens in South Hadley too.
right? That's my seat, you can't.
So maybe
So here-
offer bingo more than
More.
once a month?
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
a different day.
makes sense.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think
Right.
it's the timing. It's
What do
the
you mean?
timing, like she was saying, that it's after lunch, so they, after lunch they stay, so it's
Oh,
probably
oh.
the timing, you can't have it at 2 in the afternoon when lunch
No,
is
we
Right.
always, we always bump it right
Right
after lunch.
Right after lunch.
But we don't have lunch every day of the week, as you
Right,
know,
true.
right now, so, we do bingo on Tuesdays, it's not a lunch day, so the people
Oh.
coming out for bingo like to play bingo, but if we threw it right after a lunch slot on a day where we don't have something else
Yeah.
already committed, or we could move that around, that may be another idea, if we're going to offer it, did we say
Maybe twice a month?
twice a month?
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
try twice
to
a month and
stop
see if we
and
can
see.
support it.
And maybe
Right.
try 2 different days, see which
Yep,
one's more
that-
popular.
okay.
Yeah,
Free coffee.
We always have coffee available, we
Right.
have cake out because we have, and if we're low from the bread bone, where, like, we have 2 quarter sheet cakes that nobody wanted yesterday. So I put those out this
Oh,
week,
yeah.
okay?
yeah.
But after a week, you gotta throw them away.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, well, that's a lot of sheet cake. But if I have nothing, I will go out and I will buy pastry or something for a snack to have here, so people can just get
That's
up
what
and take a
draws,
break.
yeah, you gotta have the food, snacky, sweets,
Mhm.
gotta have sweets, right.
Right, you gotta have sweets. You
Gotta
shouldn't
keep
have
mouth
sweets.
sweet.
No, you shouldn't, but you got.
That's always a drawer.
Yeah, it is so.
Have you thought anything about a trivia thing, or we used to do, oh my goodness, this probably was 15 years ago. We got together with other council on agings and had like a schools match wits thing, and like 4 different council on agings had their own team, and then we got together and interacting between council on agings is another activity, because our quilters want to invite the Ludlow quilting group over to have some kind of a speaker and a program here sometime for the winter. Interacting between council on agings is another drawing card, that if you're going to have some good speaker or something like that, to say to Belchertown or to South Hadley or whatever, but maybe Ludlow too.
Yeah.
I mean, Ludlow's pretty good. And
Yes, they're very good.
and if you interact with, say, even if you get 10 people from there, it's 10 more people filling up your
Yeah,
good
but the
time.
word gets out too.
The word gets out that this is a good place to go to.
I'd like to think about maybe before the end of the year, bringing a speaker in. Because I think they used to do that, but it might have been about, managing your finances. It might have been someone from an... But I don't want that. I want something fun or inspirational. I even thought maybe a magician, but you need really good...
I could get you a musician. My cousin's son is a professional musician.
That might be really fun for people. We've had 2 movie days. 2? 1. The next one's next week. There were 3 people, so I sat in the screening area over here. It was cute. It was a good movie, but eventually I'd like to see more than 3 people in a film. So I don't know if it's entertainment like a magician or an inspirational speaker, and I like the idea of sending invites around to other COAs to draw anywhere from 2 to 4 people extra in.
But at least they get to see us and know what we do. I don't think we've ever participated with Ludlow at all.
No.
One of the VPs that I work with from the hospital, I don't know what his position is over there in Ludlow, but that's a good thing. Ludlow isn't that far away.
Right.
Pretend we had no pandemic. I think it's a great idea.
Right.
I think there'll be just extra challenges to assure people that we know what the safe seating capacity is. Making sure they abide it to the extent that people want to be close to each other, You put the seats where they are, whether it's around a bingo table, and next thing you know, they've moved them all. I hear this on all the directors, and that's fine, but I got to make sure people are safe.
Right.
But everyone walking through here is pretty much vaccinated, but we know that's not 100% bulletproof. So that's just something we have to be mindful of right now, is I do think there's still some either very explicit or subliminal concern about, or should I be going into somebody else's COA?
Yeah.
We
The
can do
other
it.
thing is, yesterday I went to the hairdresser in South Hadley and I brought my dog before it to be groomed, and they have no mask. They're not wearing masks. I wore my mask. I didn't know. I wear it to come here. I wear it big Y. I went in and I said to her, oh, so when I went in, she put her mask on. She said, we don't have a mask mandate any longer in South Hadley. So apparently
Was that a private business?
Yes,
Okay.
in private, yeah, and my hairdresser and the groomer, both.
Yes, yes.
So I was surprised, because I mean, we go everywhere here. I mean,
Yes,
hey,
in
listen,
Granby
I'm
you
willing to
must.
put it on. I never say don't put it on, but I was surprised. It took me back because I did not. She said, well, South Hadley is all set. We don't have the mandate anymore. So that's information.
That's like the story across the nation, right?
Right.
State to state, and even your own town by town in the same county.
Exactly.
So it does give people pause in a decision maybe that they would have never thought to have to hesitate on. So am I comfortable, or, oh, I'd like to go over to what they're doing over at the Granby COA, but I gotta wear a mask for the hour.
Exactly. That's a drawback too.
So-
People don't like the mask.
So, but we'll keep it in mind. Times will get normal again, I believe.
Hope so. And the other thing is, I hate to bring it up, here I am again. What about the water, dare I ask?
Okay, I haven't had an update on the latest testing results, but as of October 1, the town the manager, I can't remember which he's an administrator or a manager, but they let go the prior water testing company that they had used for years. I think it was White Water. So they have a new water and well testing outfit as of October 1. They are doing the testing regime. I asked Jeremy 2 weeks ago if it's too soon to ask, and he says it's too soon to know.
All right, good.
But
That's
it's,
good. I'm glad you're following up on it.
yeah, because it's, you know.
So important.
Yeah.
So we have bottled water, we always have the bottled water for the lunchroom, for lunches, and when anyone's here and needs water, and we use our bubbler, but yeah, it's been a long time.
That's good. I'm glad that they're
Yeah.
doing something about it. Thanks.
One more thing I would like to say is, this Council on Aging has a priceless commodity of Diane Morgan. Diane Morgan is unbelievable. She knows everything about, and it keeps up to date on everything with Medicare and all the insurances. You can go to her and she's so willing to research everything and compare. I mean, she is absolutely wonderful, but she's also absolutely wonderful when she goes to a home and meets an elder and is supportive, and somebody that I know had just had some problems, and Lisa and Diane took a walker over to her, and she said, she's been in this town all her life, and she said, I didn't know that there were two such nice people in this town, and that they were at the Council on Aging. So, I mean, that's the kind of thing that builds your Council on Aging, I think, and and I think Lisa's done a great job at reaching out to people, friendly, know you when you come in. I think that is just so important in building it, to have it, and it's all up to us, you know.
So we're lucky.
We're lucky, we are absolutely lucky. We're lucky we have a nice building to come to. I mean, if it were bigger, it would be grand, but it isn't.
It's fine, it's sufficient.
For
You know,
us,
if we
it
were
is.
bursting at the
Yeah.
seams, then we'd have to grapple with that.
And build on it. And even if you want a bigger program, maybe you need to go to the library, or maybe you need some,
Right,
you know.
and borrow a space.
And borrow space, or the churches, you know, and so there's lots to be done, lots. Well, anyway.
Oh, I think it's time to go to the new business.
We're in new business.
We're in new
I was hoping we would get out of new business.
Appointment of officers.
Moving along.
We need a new chair, two new vice chairs, and a secretary.
Holy Moses, you need everything.
Well, here's a kind of an update on all this. Normally, we would do this in May,
Right,
but we were way out of whack this year.
yeah.
And we didn't have enough people. So now I think we're pretty set with our,
Yeah.
all the people that we have. So we should do the, you know, every position, so to speak, is up for grabs.
Great.
So, that being said,
I think you two are doing a
Yeah.
super job.
I think so too.
Yeah,
We nominate you guys. We nominate you guys.
super.
Barbara's
President.
name is gonna pop up,
No.
and that's why you're doing a
We
super
need
job.
somebody for chair, okay?
Yeah, right.
Nominate somebody and vote on it, whatever.
So is anybody interested?
I make a motion to vote Robert Camus as chairman.
I'll second it.
Well,
Do you want it,
do
Bob?
you want it, Bob,
I can go ahead for another 2 years
as chair?
as chair.
Why don't we do all the motions at one time? So
Yeah,
Bob
that's
is
right.
chair.
Yeah.
We need two,
Two
and
vice
beyond,
chairs.
beyond me why we need this, but it's in the bylaws.
Right, two.
Yeah,
That's
two.
I was
Co-vice
the second chair for 5 years before I got the chair.
So, who wants to be a co-vice chair? So what
So
what does
vice
the co-vice
chair
chair do?
There you go, explain that to people.
Takes over when the chair isn't available.
Okay,
That's it.
that's it?
Mhm. far as I
We
know.
need two.
Why,
Our
Carol?
bylaws says
Our
Right.
bylaws
we
say
need two.
we need two.
Yeah, two. Barbara Hoschild.
And Carol Zabrowski.
There you go, that's two. Okay.
Let Carol first.
Oh, I never heard of
That way
co-chair, okay.
Bob's not here.
You
Carol
never
will have
heard
to
of
go.
what, Joyce?
Co-chair, right?
I know.
But if you look at our bylaws, it's in there.
Jane,
Really?
fine, I don't mind.
Maybe we
bylaws.
should change the
And then
bylaws.
Barbara,
I think for that, you have to actually go to the town.
Yes.
In a town, that
Well,
town.
everything has to go to
Okay,
the
so-
town, but
To
yeah,
change the bylaw.
To change the bylaw, yeah.
they would.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, it's not like we're huge, we're not the city of Springfield, so we need.
Well, it
to
sometimes
buy-
isn't proportional, it's inverse to size. The smaller you are, the more
I know.
laborious your
Yeah, you are,
requirements and
right.
structures are.
Okay, so what else do we have
So wait, so
open?
who do we have for co-chairs?
So, Co-chair,
Yeah,
Carol and Barbara.
the enthusiasm.
I'm in trouble. No vacay for you, Bob, you're done now,
And we need a secretary.
secretary.
I don't mind giving it up, and they don't have, the minutes do not have to be done the exact way I do them.
I think you do a good job. I think you should continue,
Super.
unless you're
We know
really
honest.
against it.
What about somebody new for a change?
Yeah.
Not
And
me. I
I
can't,
don't have,
I'm new
I
here.
can't do the computer.
I have no
I can't even
secretarial
print out my
skills.
My
paper.
first year, so I want to learn all the votes first.
I don't have a computer, so.
No, I'm not good
You don't
with
need a computer, well, you
Yeah,
I didn't know
send
that.
them out, yeah.
Yeah,
but-
no,
pay attention.
Can't, I'm too broke.
Secretary. Okay, so are you willing to
Yeah.
continue?
Yes, I'll continue.
All right.
Yeah, you
Bingo.
scared me. You're very
Okay.
good, Lil, you do very good. You're good. And I know it's a
Sometimes I
lot.
do too good.
I know, it's a lot.
No, that's a
Got
good
lot on your plate.
thing. We need everything covered. So
Okay,
that's all.
So now we need a motion for the chair,
Oh,
or
okay.
Bob for chair, Carol and Barbara for co-chairs, and me for secretary.
Can we just not do the slate at once?
Yeah,
The whole
We'll
group,
do the whole
slate?
group.
Yeah, okay.
so somebody
Make a
needs to make a
motion.
motion.
I'll make the motion.
Who's seconding? Do we need a second?
We need a second, you always need a
second.
second.
Go in.
Did he make the motion yet?
Well, I've got to do something. This is my first time.
I know.
No, my
So,
Yes, you need to get
the
a
motion
motion.
would be, correct me if I'm incorrect, this is your motion. Bob Camus is chair, Carol Zabrowski and Barbara Hauschild for vice co-chairs, and me for secretary.
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Okay, okay. So Don made the motion, Ann seconded. Questions,
Any
discussion?
questions?
Vote.
Vote.
All in favor?
Favor.
Aye.
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 Abstained. No, second cousin.
Yeah, okay.
Wonderful.
Dates.
Now, there's anything else?
Anything else?
Are
Anything
you all
else?
set, Lisa?
Does everybody know the new people?
I
You know, I mean, we should have
I did welcome to
Yeah,
everybody
but
to
she
come
said,
in.
do they actually know?
No.
Right, do we actually
they know
know
us?
them all?
Do you want to know?
Yes. Well, I think it's nice so everybody knows, right? So I think we should introduce ourselves now that the meeting is almost over. But at least then we would know who everybody is. We want a full
You
table.
know who the cameraman is, Eric?
Alex?
Alex, I'm sorry. That's right.
So that's just my suggestion.
Don't get old.
Do you think we should do that? Do you think we
Yes, I think that's great.
I think it's a good idea, Carol.
I think I know
Okay.
everyone. except you. I don't.
Bob,
Okay.
go ahead, Bob, start, and we'll go all the way around to
Just
Lisa.
say your name, say who you are, Bob.
You're introducing, you're Bob who?
I'm Bob Camus.
Yeah.
I've been on this board for probably 12 years now. I started out when the Council on Aging was meeting in the safety complex
Yeah.
years ago.
Safety conflicts or the?
The old Aldrich Hall.
Old Aldrich Hall.
Old Aldrich
Well, I
Hall.
would let her know. It's after that.
Okay. Okay. Will Camus, the better half of this. And I've been on the board, what, 5 years or so? I'm also on the planning board, and I've gotten off of three other boards, committees,
Yeah.
so I can have time to breathe. But yeah, that's it for me.
Barbara Housechild, nothing.
Janet Maggie. I started volunteering here right after I retired, almost 4 years ago.
Great.
Still here, and I enjoy it.
Joyce Culverini, volunteer, that's it. That's all there is.
That's all?
I
That's
know
all we
everybody,
know.
I
That's
pretty
the
much
last
know
one.
everyone.
That's the best part.
That's very good.
You're the only one, but the others I've met or ran into here or there, but I'm just Joyce.
Carol Morissette, volunteer.
Ann Bouchot, I served on the serving lunches here for a while, and I also have helped to take care of the library books for a while.
Oh, yes, she's a
And now I'm very happy to
librarian.
be
Yes.
on that board.
She
You're the
worked-
librarian. She did a beautiful job on the library. Let me tell you, it
Yeah.
was a disaster.
Well-
She came in and fixed everything. You did very
And I have to
good.
go back to it, but I'm a little unable to do that right now.
You did perfect. Good job, lady. You
But I
deserve-
love doing it.
She worked in the library at Mount Holyoke.
Oh, I figured she was a professional.
You have an inside
Okay.
track there.
Yeah,
That's good.
I love reading.
That's good.
Well, I'm older white, I'm a big mouth. I never stop talking. Anyhow, I live with my horse on the corner of Bachelor Street and George Hannum Road, where you turn to go to Stop and Shop, where everybody turns to go to Stop and Shop. But I worked for 23 years doing Diane's job at the South Hadley Council on Aging, and I feel like I could help the committee because maybe I'm kind of passé now of who I know, but I feel like I'm a great advocate for elders in our community, and hopefully I can help in some way. So,
Happy to have you on the board.
thank you. Hey, okay. All right.
I'm Carol Sprowski, and I'm thrilled to be on the board to do anything and everything for our seniors. And that's it for my history.
Don Zabrowski, and I second her opinion. I know, I've been on the board just about a year, maybe,
Yeah.
but I didn't, a little bit volunteering, but not too much here, so. Although I have many other things I'm involved with, so it makes it a little tough. That's why I brought up the idea of helping out. And
I'm Julie DeFay. I work at Florence Bank down the road. I've been on the board a couple years or so. And yeah.
Very good.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm Lisa Petralia. I've been here since late April. I was asked to step in as an interim when Chloe was ill and had to take extended leave. And I think Diane got me into this because she said I was highly organizational, which I am. I was retired 4 years from a very different line of work in Boston, where I commuted for 17 years from Granby. But one thing Eleanor said that's very true is, I know I can be organizational and handle budgets and write grants, but this is a social services center. And I'm a little bit, oddly, I prefer to be an introvert, and this is a very social setting. So balancing the running and timetables and meeting deadlines with remembering to look up and try to remember a new person's name and not be hassled so that they feel welcome. But I am big on feeding people, because if I wasn't going to have been a financial economist, I was going to go to cooking school. So I love to cook and I love to feed people because people enjoy having a meal together. So I'm a strong believer in coffee and goodies out so that they feel comfortable here. But sometimes the balancing act between being a director and making sure everything is running well and the other staff feel supported and aren't burning out, it's a struggling act. For a small center, I think we're starting to handle a fair amount with few amount of staff, and we couldn't do it without the volunteers. So, thank you, and thank you all.
Do we know
Thank you.
where Chloe's at?
I don't have any
Nothing?
update, nothing. So, you know, I've said that I would be happy to help, you know, at least to the end of the calendar year, and then if there's any need for more, just to communicate with me. I am retired. The nice thing about this job is it's 5 minutes down the road instead of a 2.5-hour commute. So,
Could I ask you, newsletter, what day are we?
next Tuesday,
Tuesday.
and let's say
Thank you.
9:30,
Okay,
okay?
thanks.
Thank you.
I'll see if I can make it.
Okay, that'd be great.
No, I don't think we can. You have your ultrasound.
Oh, that's right, at 7:30.
How many people come?
I got
To
cataracts.
No.
Assemble.
Yeah, we can always use more. The more people we have, the less time it takes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You gotta be there for 7:30. And it's all
I think I
because
can
they
make
gotta do the.
Yeah, I used to do that.
Yeah, me too. I used to come all the time.
What time is it? Next Tuesday.
And download the already, and
You have
I
had
don't know the
You
date.
still have it, although you didn't say it.
You know, the date is a lot.
I'm doing my first.
So, back to the meeting.
back to the meeting.
Probably already wrote.
Also, I'd like to say one thing. Bill and I have decided to do, when I'm traveling, we bought a motor home, and we're gonna do some camping too at the same time.
We bought a
Trailer trail.
Toby,
Don't
Oh, Toby.
not the kind you drive. We had that for like 3 months and then we traded it in for a Toby. So anyway, so there may be some call to,
Fill in.
You can practice too.
When you're ready.
Yeah, yeah.
You can handle it.
It's interesting they brought that up after it's been voted on.
Okay, there's
first. There's
Yeah,
no
but I
first.
Yeah, we go by the alphabet, you're first.
Whatever. There's no first or second, it's just their co-chair. So our next meeting is Wednesday, November 17th, as it says on the agenda, and we do not meet in December, as a reminder
Yes.
to everybody. And at the November meeting, we should set the dates for next
Yes.
year.
We won't be able to do the dinner, the Christmas dinner.
The Christmas dinner?
Where, at the church?
Oh, yeah, that's.
What?
No, you won't be doing what you have done in the past, but there is something pegged in December through a gift from the select board. And it will be done like it was last year. It will be a holiday meal by sign up, and it will be curbside pickup. People will get slots to pick up a beautiful catered meal. And that's going to be announced there's a save the date in the November newsletter that just went to the publisher.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So it's not.
So it's not a sit down. It's not a sit down. Now, yeah, sounds. Okay.
No sit down. All right. Gotcha.
Okay, so.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, okay, okay.
Thank
All
you
those
all.
in favor?
Aye.